That was a heck of a weekend.
Holy smokes, yes.
So where'd you even meet this guy, and how did you start this
connection with him? Well,
start over yeah. And if I ask a question too,
let you finish.
No, well, that's probably good. It's probably good. Plus, you start it, so you need to start it. So who's this guy? This is my friend Jon. Jon and I have actually quite a long history of working together. I threw him right into the fire with no delay.
None whatsoever.
But
yeah.
He's done great so far. He passed this weekend, but not only that, he got us the client for this weekend.
Blake is obviously a Major League Baseball player, but when he comes home from playing baseball, he loves to game.
And he needs to have a computer to stream his game.
I went to go build out his studio in Seattle, and so, of course, why not request the expertise of one Joshua Sniffen to build him only the best, fastest, small form factor, water-cooled streaming PC.
First, we had to clean up the office and get things ready because everything was an absolute disaster area. So the first plan that I had was actually to be designing a custom case out of metal. We have the laser that you helped me finally finish getting into place, but I've had that for a couple months. As you guys know, I've been sick, so I haven't been able to do anything real with it yet, but it was ready to go. So I made sure to buy some oxygen for it. My wife helped me pick up some oxygen, got it all hooked up, got set into place. That was pretty much good to go. But the problem was bending the metal. In order to do good curves and get some crisp bends, I wanted to get a nice break, and I've been eyeing that electromagnetic bender for some time, told you guys about it on the channel, and I picked it up. But it needed to be assembled in order to build anything. So while I was still working in the CAD, I had Jon get on that.
I was tasked with putting together this. It's extremely heavy, and it's a two-man job at the very least to put this thing together. So let's go check in on Josh and see how he's doing on the computer build. Hey, how's it going?
I've run into some problems. And that's how we began our crazy 3-day cram build journey.
If we can't bend metal, what are we gonna do now?
And it was at that time too, I was realizing that we were just gonna have to nix that from the plan anyway, because it wasn't just setting up the brake, but we need to actually get another 220. It's very specific, not 240, which is pretty much what American outlets put out, plus or minus a little bit. And I was gonna have to get a step down converter or something to that effect. It wasn't gonna get installed in time, and we were doing this in 3 days.
Can we build it in that amount of time? What if you're missing a part or a piece and you don't have it?
Then we make one.
Fair enough.
So I switched over and started designing something out of carbon fiber and acrylic. And pretty much that entire Saturday I spent designing something completely new. So I burned up that first day, and I spent the next entire day designing something as well. We always have to have backup plans. The problem was I had backup plans, but I didn't really let Jon know. So he was a little bit nervous as we were going throughout the weekend, and that's part of why I'm making this video, to kind of show you the process of designing a custom scratch build case. I woke up basically Sunday morning, middle of the night, after falling asleep at my desk, and realized that, oh, you know what I should do? I should double check the power supply. Special delivery. I got the camera out.
Hey.
Hey.
What's going on with this?
So I don't like to admit defeat, but we had a bunch of problems. We had the problem with the bending the metal, so the first design was just completely out. We can't get anything put together right or get it bent on time or even get material since it was the weekend.
Right.
And I had another design with carbon fiber and acrylic and 3D printing, but the arrangement I had relied on a special power supply which I had made for this hardware build, and I've been saving it for a while, and the DC-DC portion is bad. Like the first one I got was bad. When I plugged it in, it was like and like it actually made like the sine wave with the cable. It was terrifying. But the second one just smoked and popped, which I just now discovered today. I know I should test it earlier, but I figured the second replacement one would have worked. So I don't know what to do, so I got this old SUGO. This old SUGO. Man, I'm so tired.
I know.
I'm just gonna do like a classic mod. I'm gonna cram a bunch of stuff into it and make it look cool.
So like the first 36 hours of
wasted.
design?
Just gone. Just wasted. No, because I had come up with this design. It was beautiful, and I was really excited to do it.
Yeah.
And I ordered all these parts because I wanted to get the parts in time.
Right.
Because this is, liquid cooled system. So I called in favors to have stuff shipped to me really quickly.
Right.
And it wasn't going to fit because the power supply was completely bad. Remember, this is not a box power supply. These are custom power supplies where every little component and piece is separated out so you can fit them around the case, basically. So I'm using the HD Plex 400 AC. That's going into a pigtail barrel jack connector. That's going into the Dynamo 360. The Dynamo 360 is doing two things. It's outputting power to the HD Plex 200. And to do that, it has to use a sync cable. Otherwise, it won't turn on the graphics card, which is also supplied by the Dynamo 360. And the HD Plex 200 is outputting power to the motherboard via the 24-pin, of course, and the CPU 4+4. I had to build a power supply that was going to be capable of maintaining 450 watts and peaking like at 500, which is insane because you guys know, being small form factor enthusiasts, that we're running systems on like 160, peaking maybe to 300 sometimes, but this is a completely different league with X299 and a 1080 Ti liquid cooled. Quad channel memory.
A lot of hardware under that hood.
Yeah, and a liquid cooling pump, which requires a lot of watts. It's Sunday morning. I don't have any ideas. I don't have a lot of the hardware I was gonna have. I don't have the plan that was in place. And you're leaving on Monday? You're leaving on Tuesday. Tuesday. So Monday is like the day that we have to plug everything in and actually tune the computer. I was panicking for coming up with something creative and awesome. But this is where you come in. So I started off immediately. I found a model of the SUGO chassis online at GrabCAD, which you should check out. Totally awesome website. And that allowed me to start making custom parts and pieces for it. But I started just throwing out ideas. So it's already marked. So you are going to take the angle grinder. And for the first time, you're going to do some angle grinding.
Awesome. Hey. Well, first cut is done.
What? That turned out great. The first time you ever cut a panel?
I'm not one with a circle grinder, but...
Circle grinder.
Yeah.
See? It's legit. So. I was actually really impressed because you would jig everything.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And that
comes from woodworking, though.
Yeah, because metal vibrates 100 times more than wood does. It doesn't absorb all that.
Right.
And that's the problem. Like, if I was doing this myself without Jon, first of all, I wouldn't have that extra set of hands out there doing all the work while I was trying to come up with the ideas. So it wouldn't have happened. But secondly, if I was, I would be rushing it. So next up, after all the design work was done, we cut some carbon fiber parts out, we cut some acrylic parts. So speaking of cutting that thin carbon fiber, I found a crazy hack for fixturing that plate. And when I told you, you thought I was nuts.
I thought you were crazy. But
so what is that hack?
That hack is blue painter's tape. You just put it on the back of the material, you put it on the CNC board and glue it down. And
super glue.
Super glue, and it holds it down. It's perfect, and you can pull it up nicely, whatever the piece is, right after it's done cutting.
The hardest thing was trying to figure out that loop. Water blocks, especially high performance water blocks, are directional. Both the GPU block I used and the CPU block, totally custom, by the way, for this computer case, or very, very unique. Mm-hmm. They were directional. Both of them were. And had to get the piping right. It was kind of a challenge with how to fit that pump in there and the reservoir, but you can design a computer system that will fill and bleed very quickly.
This was not one of them.
This was not one of them, but it also wasn't horrible because we did get the loop correct.
Right.
You know, you can build a computer that will take weeks to bleed properly. Like if you have the jet plates wrong. Also be performing cold. And Coolant 702, glorious liquid. I only put that stuff in customers' long-term builds, but it's thick and it can foam, so it takes longer to bleed. The radiator was the hard thing. I went through many different sizes of radiators and it was kind of awkward. If I could do it all over again, I definitely would have tried for a 140 millimeter radiator, but it was coming together at this point. The last thing was how was I gonna mount the DC-DC power supply, the compact Dynamo 360, which I owned the very last few of them because they're not being made anymore. They were great, he just wants to focus on other things, but I had to get it mounted. So I designed a 3D bracket to 3D print. The problem was I had to come in and attach it from the front of the case. So you know how we had this horrible problem with the fill port being on top of the reservoir?
Yeah, let me come around here because I know what you're talking about.
It's not really a fill port, but it's a bleed port.
Right.
Well, the power supply goes there.
Right.
So I had it screwed in, but that's not accessible because you have to take the whole thing apart, take the front bezel off.
Right, so which is very hard.
Check this out now.
Oh, stop it.
The build, though, looks awesome in person. And starting from the front, the front bezel, we recessed it in. The first one that we made was whinge.
Yeah,
we made it out of whinge. And that didn't work out, it cracked, and I used the wrong bit or something like that. I made a mistake.
Yeah.
But I was like, what am I gonna do? So I was gonna use zebra wood again, and I was like, no, let's try acrylic.
Yeah. So
we cut that out, and
I got all the dust off of it. Then I sanded it down with, what, 140?
Yeah, you're like, well, do you really want to sand this? I'm like,
yeah,
yes.
Because it was see-through acrylic, crystal clear acrylic, looked like glass. And then you're like, yeah, we're gonna sand it down. I'm like, sand it down? Why are we gonna sand this down? You can see right through it. I wasn't on board, but moving in faith, you know, I said, okay, I'll sand it down. So I got to it. I started sanding it. It took a couple of runs, took a few runs.
Yeah, we got that Dremel out too. But the original plan was to use a restrictive radiator, a 25 millimeter radiator, and then use a high pressure fan like the Silverstone air penetrators, one of the Noctua fans. But we didn't have that available. I had to use the low restriction radiator. So I need to have the fan, this small, slim Kaze fan, not have to push air through those little holes in the front so hard. So I recessed those holes so there was like that pocket.
Right.
So that distributes the pressure a little bit less, lets it vent out. And I think after doing it, that would have been enough. But just to be sure, I milled those grooves at the bottom. What were your favorite parts?
The smoked acrylic. To me, that was the coolest part because of the way that the angle of the light hit it, and when the LEDs, because it kind of breathes, the system kind of breathes with the LED inside, so it's not, like I said, overbearing, but when you catch it at the right angle with the right light, and you can see it's like a piece of art that's alive, not just sitting there like somebody built and it's stagnant. Blake absolutely loved the build. It looked, he said, his words were, "That's so sick." He thought it was gorgeous, so he loved it.
I'm so happy to hear that, yeah, because I was nervous about it too, but I was super stoked with how it turned out. Thank goodness for the Scythe Slim Fan.
Yeah.
From Scythe. This is brought to you by Scythe.
Yeah, thank you, Scythe.
The takeaway is I had an awesome weekend, and then having the customer like it, and he's even streaming now on the phone.
You can go like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Loving it.
Shameless promotion.
Right.
That's all this is. It's one giant ad. Right. We hope that was an interesting ad for you. I hope that you saw some of the stuff that we did and maybe inspires you to go out and make your own computer case, your own mod, to use some tools, cut something. Don't be afraid to hack it up, as Bill Owen always says. I want to thanks again to, I guess, Scythe for saving the day with their slim product, because there's not really another product that would have done this job.
Thank you, Scythe.
And thank you for all your help.
No, thank you. I think our client is super happy, and I think it worked out really well.
All right, peace, guys.
Peace out.
You couldn't stop looking at that during that last.
I know.
Right, it's the last day. Bringing John some coffee. He's up early working on this.
Thank you. With my awesome bed head. I'm rocking bed head hard today, man.
Well, we don't judge you for that. Now, the Irish cream creamer you have in there, I'm gonna judge you a little bit.
That is absolute lie. There is no way I would have Irish cream.
Okay, what is
It's
it?
French vanilla.
John.
Almond creamer.